entertaining and informative radio for the Sunshine State.
Come on in, sit right down. Keep your hands up, keep your chin down. Shut the door.
I don't have Randy on the line yet.
Randy Harris and
I've had one of you bring it in.
radio.
Yep. Check.
Ladies and gentlemen, Knockout Radio with Randy Harris is about to start. So get ready for the best MMA talk, games, interviews, prizes, and surprises anywhere. For Knockout Radio, I'm the voice, Ray Flores, and now here's Knockout Radio.
Well, welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to the show, Mike Straka. Sitting in for Randy Harris, Street Nat Matt in the house, Steve Linnae, the producer to the stars. We are coming to you from Clearwater today.
Both mics are hot.
TAN Studios. And so, how you doing today, brother?
Dude, is this what it feels like? Is this what George Jefferson feels like when moving on up? Because Randy's not here. You moved up. That means I moved up.
That's right. You're no longer the co-host. You're the co-host, and Joe Marquis is going to be the co-host.
Fashionably late as always. So he's always making an appearance.
Fashionably late as always.
Come on. Good thing roofing doesn't have a timeline, right?
I'm never late, but business calls.
You never have to be on time if you're a roofer, do you, Mike? I mean, is that one of those industries where you just, when it's done, it's done?
Listen, man, I just met Joe, and he's a lot bigger than I am, so I'm not going to start messing with him.
How are you, gentlemen?
Good.
Welcome to the show.
I'm so glad to see Steve right now.
We're going to be joined shortly by Mad Lab Mike Urata. He's MadLabMMA. We're going to talk about that joke of a fight that was Jake Paul versus Mike Perry. And you know, Mike Perry was on the show last week, Joe, and he was very like, "Oh, I'm gonna put it to him. I'm excited. He's never fought anybody like me." Man, I was so disappointed in that fight on so many different levels. When the Hawk Tua girl was the most popular person in that arena that night, that's pretty sad.
I didn't even know she was there. Is this true?
Yeah, it's true. She had a big, she had a pretty good following there, and she was in a nice little cute blue black dress, and she made a big showing. And then she was on Jake Paul's podcast afterwards.
Did she go hunt too? So what did you find such a spectacle about this fight?
Oh my! Where do I start? The boxing was terrible.
Start somewhere.
Boxing was terrible.
Right.
I mean, it was. You know, I always say that MMA boxers, they're not traditional boxers. We all know that. But Jake is a traditional boxer. At least he's been trained. And he's getting better. I'm not taking anything away from the guy's business sense. But that fight, man, it was just Jake was gassed after the first round. Mike was way smaller than him. I don't care what they told me he weighed in at. There was no way he weighed in at 196. There's just no way.
Well, Jake took 3 times to actually weigh in, and he didn't even. I think he was 3 pounds under.
Right. Ed, I'm not sure Joe's mic is on. I'm only hearing the ambient noise.
But, I mean, the fight and the speed of the fight are going to slow down. I mean, Mike had to come up in weight, I mean, to even attempt to fight.
Mad Lab on the line?
Yeah, it was a bad look.
This is like I wore a weight vest. This is how you gain 30 pounds overnight, Joe Marquis. And this is what Mike Perry probably. That's why he's throwing slow punches.
Right.
Because you can't put on that kind of weight without affecting your performance. And when he fights at 170 pounds in the BKFC, of course he's a lot faster. Of course his punches are a lot quicker. So gaining 30 pounds to fight Jake Paul at 200 or as close to it as he could, of course slows down the fight.
Well, one guy who knows a lot about fighting is Mike Urata, Mad Lab, joining us from where? Orange County, California, Mike? Oh, Mad Lab, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, what's up, man? Dude,
What's going on?
not much. Welcome to the show, Knockout Radio. Got Street Nat Matt, Joe Marquis on with us, and you know, Mike, you've been covering MMA and boxing for as long as I've known you, like 15 years now, maybe longer. And I was just saying that I was completely disappointed in what I saw Saturday night with Jake Paul versus Mike Perry. What were your thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I kind of expected it. You're looking at a kid who, despite all his woes, got a lot of money. He's buried himself into boxing for the past couple of years. He can get the fundamental wiring down of boxing. Not that he's a good boxer, but he's got the best guys in his corner, and with that, he's also got the best marketing guys. These guys know how to break down film. They know how to get him fights that he's really going to keep him out of harm's way to keep this choo-choo train going. You know what I mean? So when he took the fight on with Mike Perry, I expected Mike Perry to fight a little bit different. I mean, there was somebody could have taught this guy like basic fundamentals of defense, head movement, keep your hands up. He literally came out almost like a slap boxing match. And I was trying to explain to my friends that, when you're bare knuckle, your target zones are completely different because you could break your hand. So that's number one. Number two is the hand speed is so much faster. When you don't have those gloves on, your hands start getting heavier. Your hands start getting heavier. The lactic acid starts building up. It's a completely different game. It's like boxing is like chess, and then it's chess to checkers. So I was a little surprised that he fought like that. I thought he'd fight a little bit better, but at the end of the day, I wasn't surprised with the result.
Well, I don't think anybody was surprised with the result. I think I'm not going to say that the fight looked like it was a fake fight, but it did. I mean, I guess I did just say that, Joe. What are your thoughts on that?
It definitely wasn't a fake fight.
All right.
You can go on YouTube and look up fake fights, and you'll see fake fights.
Well,
they're obvious.
There's ways to fake fights, though, without really faking them. You know what I mean? Like, you can always, we've been doing it for so long, and, we match two people up. We know, Anderson Silva is going to beat, Caleb Starnes, for instance, it just as an example. But, I just thought Mike Perry was going to be more game, and I don't know if I'm being too hard on him. The guy that kicked my butt. I'm not saying he can't beat me up, but
I thought he was pretty game. I mean, he never took a step back. He always came forward. He's never had that head movement of a boxer, but he's always had that pressure. I mean, if you go look at any of his fights in BKFC, he's always walking forward. He's always throwing punches, and he's always willing to take one and give one. And I mean, he knocked Luke Rockhold's tooth out. I mean, that's a fight I actually thought he was going to lose, and he beat him with toughness, not with technique, not with anything else, just toughness.
Well, and certainly Jake was way bigger than he was, and he took a lot of shots.
I mean, for me, I thought the biggest tragedy of the night was Stevie Morgan coming in undefeated, this up-and-coming star, superstar. Mayweather's people are behind her to face off against Amanda Serrano to take her first loss in that way on this fight card of a promotion that doesn't have the credibility, right? It's more of an influencer league, MVP promotions. I thought that was the biggest tragedy because this kid, she is a superstar, and she will be a champion. And I just thought for her to take her first loss, I think it changes you mentally, going forward.
I've never even heard her name before until Saturday.
She's from your area.
But I think that's why she fought here. It's because she was from here.
And Serrano, she's really good.
Serrano she was way out of her league, it looked like.
No question.
Yeah, both the Serrano sisters are great.
But I mean, I think Stevie's probably 2 years into her professional career at this point. I mean, she's
they threw her to the wolves.
They did.
And
I don't like
just
that.
because she was local.
Right. And I thought that was the biggest tragedy of the whole night.
Well, hey, Matt,
that could totally change. That could change you. I mean, a lot of times they say you really see a fighter after they lose. Like, it's easy to win. You win, fine, but let's see how you bounce back. So now her next fight we have to see. But you're right. So that fight was a travesty. I was watching. I was like, what's going on here?
Yeah. And I just I started laughing when Jake called out Alex Pereira.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, man.
You don't want that smoke.
You don't. But at the end of the day, everybody's giving Jake a hard time about who he's fighting.
Yep.
Just because he's selling pay-per-views, because that's what he's doing is selling pay-per-views. How many fights is he in right now? I think it's 10.
Yep.
10 now? Okay. All the best boxers in the world aren't fighting the level of competition he is at 10 fights in. Right. They're just not.
And not only that, but he put 17,000 butts in the seat.
That's what I'm saying.
So he got a gate draw, plus his pay-per-view presence, plus his YouTube platforms, social media. There's nobody bigger right now. Look at the BKFC championship fights. You get maybe 2,000 people in attendance. Some of them are less. So kudos to selling the fights and getting people there.
Listen, anybody he fights, he's going to draw.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Anybody he fights, he's going to draw. At the end of I don't even think Canelo is pulling the numbers he is right now.
The biggest fight would be when he fights his brother Logan.
That would be fun.
That would be the biggest pay-per-view on the planet if Logan takes on Jake and is a real fight, not a scripted one.
Yeah.
Well, what time? This is my question. When do you draw the line? Like, it's good what he's doing. He's getting out there. He's making money. He's putting asses in the seats. He's bringing eyes to boxing. That's fine, even though I consider it more of a circus league. But you can't keep calling out Canelo. You can't keep calling out these boxers when these guys that you're fighting are not going to move you in the rankings in any way. Fighting Mike Tyson's not going to move your ranking. Fighting Mike Perry's not. Eventually, if you really want to be a boxer and you want to get some big fights and you want to capsize on this dream that you have to fight for a championship, you have to start fighting guys that are legitimately boxers in a ranking. So right now, are you either going to be a YouTube, a boxer, or are you going to be a legitimate boxer? Because if you're going to be a legitimate boxer, you got to start fighting boxers.
Yeah.
In his defense, he said it within 2 years. He didn't say, he was wanting to fight Canelo tomorrow.
No, but he hasn't fought one yet. Like, if you really think about it, he fought,
Tommy Fury.
Tommy Fury, yeah.
Tommy Fury, and he lost to him. And Tommy Fury couldn't beat anybody.
Well, that's the point I was making earlier, that just because he's selling so many pay-per-views, everybody thinks he should be fighting these huge names, these guys that are, world champions. But at the end of the day, he's only got 10 fights. Name me a professional that has 10 fights in and they're fighting the level of competition he is. And I'm not even sticking up for him. I'm not a big Jake Paul fan. I didn't grow up on Jake Paul or anything.
What's the level of competition that he's fighting? Because he's fighting guys that aren't boxers. So, I mean, how do you gauge that? He's fighting mixed martial artists that can take down, they could use kicks. They're not trained in that stance. They're trained in a completely different stance.
Right.
They're also trained that you have an A and B level. You have upstairs, and if you lose on the feet, you can resort to takedown. So, like, what level of boxer is he fighting? He's not fighting any level of boxer.
I would dare you to go look up Mayweather's first 10 fights. They're all a bunch of cans, literally. It's like Rocky Balboa coming off the bench. It's literally like that. These guys got super loose 50-50 records, all that stuff.
Well, all of them do. They all go down to Mexico. They pad their records. They do 10 fights in Mexico, come back with a 12-0 record or 12-1 and start their career here. So, there's politics in all of that.
Well, listen, I agree with you, MadLab, about the level of marketing that Jake Paul has done. And Jake Paul has made these pronouncements like, I'm here to save boxing. And in a way, he's not wrong. Half the time, a legitimate match doesn't even get 5,000 people in the seats. So, he's filling up the Amalie Arena, which is pretty impressive.
And
He's a genius. The kid is a genius.
It's true. I mean, for when it comes to marketing, that's what he's done his whole life. I think he was young, teenage years.
Yeah.
Young teenager.
Yeah. He's ever done it.
All right.
And just the fact that he brought in the Haktua girl, who's the hottest thing on the internet right now, to be on his podcast after the fight and to be there. That's marketing.
I think the assassination attempt brought that down a little bit. It kind of covered it up a little bit, but yeah, she's all over the place.
But if he fights Mike Tyson and they tear the roof off that thing next time, well, Joe Marquis can put it back together.
I'm going to get that contract. You get the garage doors?
Yeah.
Steve?
And then we'll get,
Gotcha.
Doors open 5 a.m.
What about the medal?
What is it?
The medal.
The medal.
What medal?
John
That's what I do is metal.
Robinson.
Oh.
I thought you were talking about me.
Lightning steel. is
Speaking
what
of
it
that-
is.
You can bring the pizzas.
We
bro.
could build our own arenas over talking about MadLab.
What are you pointing at, Steve?
I'm pointing at a commercial.
Time to a break.
All right, we're gonna
That's
take
why we got a producer.
We're going to take a quick break here on KO Radio. Mike MadLab, you're on. Stay on for the break. We want to talk to you about Mike Tyson and Jake Paul next.
Hi, this is Brooks Robinson, and you're talking sports with Randy Harris.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network. Got bills? Looking for work? But nobody is hiring? Staff Zone is. As the leading provider of commercial construction, industrial, and special event staffing throughout the Southeast and Texas, Staff Zone has plenty of work to go around. And they need you now. Don't wait.